So without further ado, Jack is a current student at ISU, just about to graduate, if he can hang on for a few weeks. 4 weeks. Yeah, right. And so he's here to talk about NuGrad. Thanks, Jack.
Cool, awesome. Thank you for the introduction. Thanks for coming here. It's awesome that we're getting this started here in Slingshot and Bloomington Normal, and for all the students that are interested in sort of getting involved in startups. I think this is going to be a great asset going forward. It's super exciting. Before we get into it, so NuGrad is essentially an online marketplace for really top talent at universities to find really great jobs that match their personality. Our goal is to find like the top 35 to 40 students at every university, and we do that in a very unique way that takes into account their personality and experience, and then we match them with companies that we think they'll last, sort of long term and they'll really enjoy it. Before we get into it, I'll talk a little bit about our team. So my name is Jack Sutherland. I'm very much a startup guy. Worked with 3 other startups up in Chicago. And during my college career, I've just really been interested in getting involved in new ideas and really testing things. I graduate, like Dylan said, in December, so I'm very close, very close. The rest of our team, so Kenny's over there, taking pictures, wearing the NuGrad shirt. Hi, Kenny. So Kenny is a junior at Illinois State, and then Brett right here is also wearing the NuGrad shirt. You guys can mingle with them later and talk to them a little bit. And then aside from them, we also sort of just grew out our brand ambassador program this last week. So we have 13 brand ambassadors across 6 schools. And we're really just sort of hitting the ground running. So we're really excited. We actually launched 2 months ago and started working on this 2 months ago and 1 week. So it's been a very crazy process, but one of the core values we have is just test every idea and really get it out there in the world and see if it's something that's viable. So it's something we're really interested in. So let's get into the problem a little bit. So the problem we're trying to solve is very unique and something that really hasn't been innovated on lately. We're going to go through a little bit of an exercise to get you guys in the same mindset that we're sort of thinking of. So I want you guys to picture 2 different students. So one student, this student in traditional academia is sort of a failure. So he has a 2.6 GPA. He's failed 5 classes. He's going an extra semester in school. Really, on the academic side, academia looks at him as sort of a failure. The next student, he's had 5 internships in 4 years. He has held leadership positions in all of his organizations. He's really involved in campus and really involved in creating change. So where our problem comes in is when that person is the same. So I am that person. I had that really bad GPA and school's not for me, but I'm highly involved outside of the classroom. And that's really the student that we want to sort of allow to shine. And right now, in like the traditional system, it just doesn't happen. Like recruiters don't want to talk to those kids because they get their GPA and they get their resume, and then once they see that 2.7, they're sort of out the door. And we understood this to be a problem because all of our friends in our business organization where we met, they all sort of have this same mentality. They think differently. Traditional academia says that they're wrong, and because of that, all these organizations and companies really say that they're wrong as well. So we saw that as the problem, and from the company side, these companies are taking on these students that are very cookie cutter, but they don't think outside the box. And that can only last so long, and these students are sort of taking the first job that they get. And these companies are left with these students that are not engaged in the workplace and end up sort of turning over after a while, and they blame it all on millennials. They aren't engaged, they want to do their own thing and all this stuff, but really they're just recruiting the wrong people. And that's where we sort of see ourselves fitting into the process. So our solution is very unique. We have created this system called NuGrad. It's essentially a GPA alternative. We take into account personality and experience and a very small portion of their academic performance. Right now it's all based off of GPA. And what academia deems necessary and deems right just really isn't right in the current modern business ecosystem. So we created NuGrad to understand who these people are from a personality standpoint and sort of where their personality fits in the workplace, and from an experience standpoint, really letting them shine outside of the classroom and letting all these companies understand who they are. So aside from NuGrad, we're really interested in matching these students with companies that make sense for their personality. So once we get all this contextual information about the student, we have all these companies that are interested in recruiting the top talent, and we find the ones that match for their personality. We want to make the good matches so that they last sort of long term, and these students are happy overall. Because right now, if you talk to many college seniors, they are worried about where they're going to work. They're most likely going to take the first job that they get the offer on, and most likely it's not going to be a company that they are super interested in. So we really want to empower these students to go out and find the jobs that matter to them, and hopefully, going down the line, it's just going to domino into a really great business ecosystem wherever sort of we're located, and it's just going to sort of radiate up from there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our growth. So like I said, we launched 2 months ago, sort of just with this test. And we didn't anticipate much very quickly, and we were dead wrong and sort of overwhelmed with it. So right now, currently we have 93 students that are pre-qualified to be really great at their universities, and that's across 12 different schools. And we didn't do really any marketing. We were very active on social media, just creating good content. But aside from that, it's sort of been just student word of mouth. This is very much an issue for college seniors, and them trying to navigate this job search is just a disaster because schools really don't provide the resources that they need. So when we sort of tell them that, hey, we have your back, they like that and they listen. And it's been very interesting to see the students sort of talk about NuGrad and talk about what we're doing, and it's been really, really fun. From the company standpoint, we have 13 companies that are interested in our students right now, so we're on the platform. And 2 of them are like paid plan subscription things. And really we just sort of started selling to these companies, understanding what they want and understanding where we can fit into the process. The big sort of times are going to be for this December graduation and for the May graduation. So we really have these 2 revenue points that we have to hit for sort of both graduation dates. So it's been really interesting to sort of see the process that's going on now and how we can sort of innovate and make it better. We definitely see an issue, and we definitely see a shift between what the traditional sort of recruiting goes by, like resume and GPA, and sort of going towards this people first and people matter. And so we sort of see that GPA and resume will be sort of obsolete in like 5 years. And that's sort of what we're betting on, that we're going to create this new alternative, and these companies are going to be down for it. So aside from that, our main goals, they're pretty lofty, but we're really excited about the growth we've had so far, and we think we can achieve them. So we're looking to be at 50 schools by May, and we're looking to place around 40 students on our paid model by that time as well, and also sign 10 partner companies. So it's really important for us to really hit the ground running and sort of understand where we fit in this traditional business ecosystem and allow companies to adapt and understand that change has to happen. And part of that, our last final goal is really just to change the narrative and allow companies to understand that people matter, and us as students, as college seniors, we have various different personalities, and if you embrace those different personalities, you can have a very profitable business and really induce growth going forward. So on that note, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming out, and I'm really excited to hear some of your guys' questions. So.
For those who've been through this, but for those who haven't, the format here is that people present about 6 minutes and just give us an idea of what they do, what the company's about, and then we've got time to kind of ask some questions, and the idea here is to get a better understanding of what people in town are doing and how we can help them, right? And so, if anybody has questions for Jay, about clarifying things they do or things that maybe they can help with or anything like that, just fire away. Chris?
You talked about your brand ambassador program. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how you're engaging with the brand ambassadors, how you're keeping them sort of invested in what you guys are doing? What's the relationship like?
Yeah, so the brand ambassador program actually launched last week around this time. So it's been really interesting. We actually have 2 of them right here. And so it's a process. I mean, like every other startup, we're growing a team, and we have to understand, we have to keep sort of the norm that, mission is, what our goals are, and that's sort of our first obstacle is we're bringing in 13 now new people into this team that's very close knit. We've been working late nights every night. We've been doing all this stuff. So understanding where new people can fit into our team is really important right now. Aside from that, we're going to be sort of instilling these missions and goals in a way that where our brand ambassadors can sort of blog about things that they're talking about, give them a safe environment to speak their mind about the problems that are existing in higher education or the problems that are existing in the job search. And we feel that sort of the honesty that we are allowing them to have, because they don't really have it right now in the traditional system, will sort of speak for itself and allow other people to understand what NuGrad is. And that's sort of where we're starting right now. And it's going to adapt. It's going to turn into something big, or it could sort of stay the same, just allow people to talk about it. So it's really interesting. We didn't think that we'd be growing our team from 3 to 16 in a matter of a week, but we just got to grow, and we just got to keep going forward and take on every new obstacle. So it's going to be interesting. You might want to ask them later, because I'm sure they don't know either. We're still sort of getting involved. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with the brand ambassadors, you said that they're in multiple schools, correct? So how are you keeping in contact with them? Is it through their website, their platform, phone, and how are you keeping them? Are they considered interns with you guys, and then do they kind of move on after they graduate, or what keeps them grounded with you guys?
Right. Yeah. No, great question. So right now we're sort of keeping everything organized, because we are small enough to keep everything organized on Google Docs and video calls and meetings, just sort of talking about brainstorming missions and stuff like that. That's sort of how we're keeping everything very close knit. And like you said, we're at different schools. So it's going to be really important for us to keep communication high and keep them involved in the process. Our main goal of this is to get more people involved in a startup, more people involved in a mission that they care about. And if that happens, then it's a success. So as long as we can keep this narrative going of, hey, you guys have full reign to talk about whatever ideas you have about NuGrad or about other things, and we can help you along the way. And it's just it's almost like this right now, we're all together sort of talking about startups, talking about this community. That's sort of what we're creating, from a student standpoint. Communication is key, and we're going to adapt going forward, trying to understand the do's and don'ts of keeping everyone organized. So it's going to be a process, but really we're just going to, very grassroots, just like you guys would run your own teams, Google Docs, Slack, keep everyone in close communication so we don't lose sight of sort of what the end goal is.
So, go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What's the revenue market? I mean, how are you generating funds? Obviously, there's a business model, and there's a student model.
Yep.
Also, can we kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so to that point, so students, it'll always be free. We want to empower students to have this new sort of idea, this new way of thinking, and we don't want to have any barriers there. We want to allow students to really embrace, themselves and understand that they're worth it. And from a recruiter model, company model, recruiters typically charge around 15 to 22% of first year salary. Right now we're at a base of $1,000 a hire. And it's a lot cheaper than what, the traditional route is. And we've actually heard from a lot of companies saying, are you really only charging $1,000? What's the catch here? Really, we're just testing to see if we can make good matches. We're very honest. It's we don't know if we're gonna make the best matches yet, and we're honing in our systems and understanding. So yeah, it's $1,000 a hire, and if we reach our goal of getting 40 students hired by May, we'd be at $40,000 revenue. Very simple. We just want to keep it as simple as possible and take it forward. So.
I got a question as far as the matching the students up with the actual company. So correct me if I'm wrong. You guys evaluate the students, and you guys create kind of their overall value of what you think they're worth, and you take what the company is looking for, and then do you give your evaluation report to the company, and then the company makes the decision on whether to hire them, and then I'm not sure about the whole.
Yeah, let me bring you guys through the process. So a student will apply and they'll fill out our NuGrad application. So essentially, it's a series of questions that allows us to rate the student from a 1 to 100. And from there, we create their profile, and these profiles are available to companies. Before a company can come on our platform, we have to approve them. So they will apply and we'll sort of go through reviews, we'll find people that have worked there in the past. We just really get the grassroots, like very honest answer of sort of who that company is, and if we deem them to be like a good company for students to work for, they'll jump on the platform, go through all the profiles, and if they want to be introduced to somebody, they let us know. And from there, we allow the student to have all the power. The student can say yes or no if they want to be introduced. They say yes, then we make the good match. We sort of provide the student contextual data about what the company's about, what they do, reviews, all that type of thing. And we allow the student to make the decision whether or not they want to be introduced. From there, our hands are off, and we make the introduction, and these companies and students are making their own matches. So it's a different revenue model, or it's a different model to the point of traditional recruiting is recruiters take in all these applications and then go through them all. We do a lot of that for them, and it's different in the fact that students. They have the power to decide whether or not they want to work for that company or they want to interview for that company. And that's where the students really find the values. They feel empowered to own their own recruitment, which is very interesting. Brandon?
Can you tell us a little bit more about the company side of it? Like what sort of companies have you guys assumed would be early adopters to this, and like what's the end goal with them?
Yeah, so to be expected, it's a lot of small startup innovative companies that are very much about culture and very much about fit and making sure that they have the right team in place. So those companies have been the most vocal about their appreciation for what we're doing. Aside from that, we've also gotten companies that can't afford to go to career fairs, they can't afford to do campus recruiting, but they still deserve and want the best students. And we sort of take that whole process of campus recruiting and bring it online and we create this even playing field for companies. So we've had, these small companies in the middle of Illinois, all the way to, tech startups in Chicago, to, larger corporations who are showing interest in bringing in the top talent. What's interesting is that these companies, they really want, it's a competition. So we have, right now, our only full university is ISU, obviously, because we're here. So we have 40 of the best students at ISU, and these companies are competing for their talent. And we flipped the script on sort of how this process goes. Normally, they're sort of competing for the company, and now we're creating the situation where these companies are competing for the students against other companies. So they're interested in that sense and trying to find the best people for the best jobs, and so it's been really, really crazy. We didn't anticipate these companies to be so receptive to this new way of doing things, but we also found that it really is a problem, the recruitment, and they're wasting a lot of money trying to understand who's a good fit, and they just get it wrong. So, Chris?
How recent of a grad do you have to be to submit to this? I mean, there's a big job problem out there with people who are 40, in their 40s, 50s, laid off, have a ton of experience, but yet can't get hired. Do you factor those types of people into your platform, or do you only say, like, no, you have to be a recent grad of a couple of years?
Yeah, so right now we're sort of limiting ourselves just from a standpoint of trying to understand if we're doing this correctly to these students from day one of senior year all the way to like 6 months past graduation. The reason we're doing that is because that's who we are and that's what we know and that's where we think we can provide the most value. But I agree. I mean, I think if we are understanding this correctly and understanding how to rate people correctly for a job and for culture fit, I think it's highly adaptable to other age groups, other demographics. The most interesting thing that we've seen is we started with just college seniors, and we've gotten more people contacting us who are out of college 6 months and hate their job. Much more of that than otherwise, because these they took their first job that they got and it wasn't a good fit. It's like just more validation for us to sort of understand. Go ahead.
I don't want this question to sound bad.
It's okay.
Too late.
What makes any of you guys qualified to do this? You're a senior, and the few key members of your very core team have never looked for a job like never
Right.
graduated, and then from what I understand, I'm guessing that your 16-member team, of course, are all in college, none of you guys have ever undertaken this process,
Yeah.
you've never failed at this process, so I'm curious as to what makes you guys think that you're qualified to evaluate this type of information and deliver it to a Fortune 1000 or a
Right.
company, or, I mean, because that's essentially what you're doing, you're trying to, match these people up with a career that they're gonna love, and if you guys have never done it, what makes you qualified to do it?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we thought about this, and honestly, I think the answer comes in that these companies are trying to understand who's the best fit for what they're doing, and that's great. From a student standpoint, that's where we come in, and we understand, and we're very susceptible. We accept change much more than the traditional person finding a job, and we are students, and we understand who a great student is, and that's where we provide the value. We are these people, and we can say Brett is a great student because of this, this, and this, and I understand it because I'm also a student. Where recruiters get it wrong is they're older and they think that they know what a good student is, but they aren't students anymore, and they don't see this what's really going on college campuses and who really is great. And that's sort of where we handle that question. We've gotten it from recruiters. It's hey, can you guys prove yourselves first? And we understand it. It's a change in the whole system. And I'm sure it's not reassuring to have a 23-year-old come into their office and say, hey, what you're doing right now for recruiting is wrong. But the numbers speak for themselves and they know it. And so I don't think they're even worried about, whether or not we're juniors or seniors in college, because they need that inside edge, and we sort of create that extra metric of, I am a college student and I recognize this person as a good college student. So it's pretty interesting. I agree. I think it's just going to come with time of us sort of proving ourselves in this landscape. But more and more companies have to accept change, and they have to accept that there's a new way of doing things, and it doesn't matter if we're 21, 22, 23. They're going to have to accept what's right. So if we can prove that's right, then it's just going to speak for itself.
What happens if somebody fails? What happens if they don't make it in the company with the money that you've given them?
Yeah.
What happens along the line, it does fail?
Yeah.
The person eventually doesn't get hired, or they get fired, or...
Yeah, so currently we have in place, just as a safeguard, 90-day money back. If the person isn't a good cultural fit, the person leaves the company. If you want them to leave the company, 100% money back, and we'll work with them to sort of understand where we went wrong. And really, it's just going to be a lot of testing. It's going to be, these companies have to be in a place where they're open to trying new things. Otherwise, nothing's going to ever change. It's just going to keep sort of spiraling.
So along those same lines, you guys are students, so your network is not what some other people's network is. And so I think you won't have any problem getting students involved, but from the recruiter and the company standpoint, you might have a little harder time getting them involved and buying into it. So how can some folks, in the community and other sort of business folks and older folks help you to get companies and recruiters and stuff interested and in a conversation with you?
Yeah. I think the answer to that question is sort of two-sided. First, community members have to be open to change and open to understanding that people first is very important in creating a team. And they have to be open to disregarding the norms that have been going on for the past 40 years in academia and in recruiting. That GPA and resume is everything, because it's honestly just not for a lot of innovative companies right now. So it's allowing change to happen is the first thing. And the second thing that we would ask and we would love for community members to do is take a look at their own team and understand what type of personalities there are, and do almost an evaluation of your team, and allow us to sort of do that evaluation with you and make recommendations on whether or not we think we have a student that'll be that good fit. And really it's just testing. I mean, allowing us to test with these companies is ultra important at the start, because like you said, we have to prove ourselves because we aren't in a place where we have the credibility yet. And as community members, we would love for you guys to sort of take a look at your teams and understand where you want to grow going forward, and understand that these people, these college seniors, are going to be filling your teams eventually. And you have to sort of understand who they are as a person and from an experience standpoint, much more than who they are as a student. So that's probably our answer.
I really like your idea.
Thanks.
I wish you luck on your fast-growing team.
Thank you, thank you.
So, the criteria, I have a question about the criteria for grading students. If it's 0 to 100, how is that different than giving someone a B or an A? And are you taking into account personality tests, Myers-Briggs, or introvert, extrovert, IQ tests, and things like that?
Yeah. So we've crafted our own system of doing this, and we're on our third iteration of doing it now and trying to understand if we're making the right assessment. It starts with personality, so we have a plethora of personality questions to sort of understand who they are as a person, and what type of personality they have. Creative, are they, that type of thing. And second is experience, and we weight experience much higher than GPA for example. So, like myself, if I have 5 internships over 4 years, and I've been involved on campus, and I've created organizations, and those types of experiences, we weight those much higher. And then we have a small portion, like 10% of this is sort of GPA and academic performance. So it's still part of the discussion. We don't think that it's completely devalued. I think it's important, but it's not 100%. And that's where we come in. And the way that we have our NuGrad set up and the way that we've been testing it is, so we'll have a sophomore take it, and then a junior take it, and then a senior take it. And then a senior who's really qualified and a senior who's not very qualified, and sort of see where the scores pan out. And ideally, we should be having juniors not getting more than an 80, and sophomores not getting more than a 60. So we're really trying to get into, the way that the system's gonna work. It's been very interesting. We didn't think we were gonna be creating this new rating system for like our peers, so it's very odd, but it's working, and we're finding good matches, and we're able to make recommendations to students who aren't at the point yet, and we're able to provide them content to sort of further their professionalism, further their way along. And that's sort of how we can see growth going forward, is allowing other students to take it, younger students, and provide contextual data of sort of how they can make themselves better going forward, which is something that we can't even put like a price on. Like, we're very excited about that, just allowing students to be better, and the sense of being more outside thinking, and just really making themselves better person, better students. So it's a great question.
Are there any HR organizations you've connected with, or any events in that community? Because it seems like that would be sort of fish in a barrel for you guys, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of HR professionals and going back to their shop and talking about your services.
Right. Yeah. So we actually have one partnership with a HR recruitment firm, like outside recruitment firm, up in Chicago, and it's been a process trying to understand what they do and how we can fit into their process. So they make all their money on commissions, and they're charging that 15 to 22%. So it's a matter of, do they want to pay for the fee? It's really come down to revenue, not really much concept. They love the concept, and they love that they can find much better fits, because it just improves their credibility as well. So it's interesting. Outside recruiting, I don't think what it is or was our intention for what we're trying to get at. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant like internal, so HR folks. So
Oh,
I'm sure there's events where someone from, say, State Farm HR, Country HR, General Electric HR, those sort of folks gather for some sort of industry group or
like
designation.
a SHRM, what is SHRM? Society of HR. Yeah.
Have you been to like conferences like that or events like that? Or,
Right.
To sort of hit up those folks and
So
kind of tap into their network.
Yeah, we're definitely down to do that. Brett is actually the president of SHRM on ISU campus. So he has that sort of inside connection with the organization. SHRM is huge. Every HR person, recruiter is part of SHRM. So that's sort of our end goal for sure, is to get in the eyes of those people and sort of understand. It's very much talking face to face with as many people as we can. I go up to Chicago, I go down to St. Louis, whatever, trying to find every single HR professional, and just talking about this new way of doing things is the only way that this is going to sort of go forward. But yeah, we agree. Those organizations are going to be our bread and butter, hopefully. Chris?
So I'm just curious as far as your growth, how you envision it, because it seems like you've got a really great fit for startups, smaller companies that are really focused on culture, focused on work-life balance, all that stuff.
Yes.
But it seems like as far as scalability goes, it gets to be a harder thing when you're trying to say, I want to place, 5,000 new grads to State Farm this year.
Right.
And not saying that there's anything wrong with State Farm, it's just that bigger companies are behind the curve as far as cultural change goes. So my question is, do you see NuGrad being sort of a company that you grow somewhat organically and, put your revenue back into it and, grow with the culture of change? Or do you want to get investment and try and push that change?
I think we're in the place where, so a big part of our team culture is change and is asking different questions, asking the right questions. And that is a question that we ask ourselves very early on, to sort of understand where we're going to fit in this, if this does grow and where we want it to grow. And we sort of fit in where we're changing the norm. We, like you said, sort of pushing the innovation, pushing the change. I think that's where we want to play because this is going to be a huge cultural change over the next 5 years if it's what we're projecting within organizations and within universities, and we want to be a part of it at the beginning. We don't want to sort of just let it happen in front of us. And if we can induce this change very early on, we're going to do it. And if it means having to take investment and really just pushing up growth, then that's what we're going to go for. But at the same time, we can be sustainable, keeping this slow organic growth too. We're in a very interesting place where our price point is reasonable for the consumer and very reasonable for us as a small team trying to grow. The amount of sales that we have to make in order to get to a place where we're sustainable is very small. Like we can make one sale tomorrow and we're already up $500. It's like, so we're in a very interesting place. So we can choose and we can sort of take on whatever comes our way, whether it's investment or not. So it's a great question. That's something that we're fighting with, talking about every day, like where are we going to play this sort of change?
Sorry, real quick, and then we'll stop and then we can mingle, but I want to make sure, make a couple announcements and then we can sort of cut loose and do what we do. So, a couple things going forward. 1millioncups.com/McLean County is the website that we have set up for people to follow. If you have a company, you want to talk about your company, we'd love to have you. There's an apply button on there. It's a really simple process. It's not very painful at all. Get some good exposure. I'd love for everybody to put their email down if you could, and I'll reach out and then sort of ask you for recommendations on other people, companies, organizations, et cetera, that you think would be good for this community to hear from. The idea here again is to just highlight people doing good things and highlight other people who can bring good resources to people doing good things and connect the community a little better. So we'll kind of officially cut off and then mingle and sort of talk to Jack and Brett and Kenny and everybody here or whomever else or go in meetings or whatever they got to do. But wanted to thank you for coming by, spending some time with us. And if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me or stop by here anytime. And thank you for coming by today.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having
One last question. How can we help you?
Yeah,
Great question. It's very one
How come one accepts that
I like that. How you guys can help us. So we are in this ecosystem of Bloomington Normal, and you guys are all community members of Bloomington Normal. And as we all know, Bloomington Normal has this rap of being very conservative and very not susceptible to change and innovation. Our goal here, while we're still here at ISU, and that they're going to be here for a whole other year, is allowing organizations, companies in the area, including State Farm and Country and Growmark and these big ones, to be ready for this new shift of, this new wave of sort of graduates that are going to be coming out. It's very different than any other graduate class these next 5 years. And so as community members, I would encourage you guys, and it would help us to allow students to do things differently and to think differently and look at students not only as an asset to your company because they're coming into work, but look as an opportunity to grow your company because these are going to be the people who are going to be growing your company. So you guys all have teams in place, or will have teams in place going forward. The only thing I could ask is that you guys think very proactively about who you're bringing onto your team and allowing students to have a voice and to really GSD to get stuff done, to throw that out there. So that's all we can ask, really. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
That's a good reference, Jeff.
I know. Well, it was such a good talk.
Which back on the other side.
I'm glad you wanted to